All right, welcome back to WMMA Scene Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode number 61 of the WMMA Scene Report, our weekly show where we go over news, results, pretty much everything to do with the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. Without wasting any more time, let's get into the results for this past weekend. So MMA still slow going right now because of the whole pandemic, but there were some fights over this past weekend. Over in South Korea at ARC 1, Eun Lee defeated Hyunju Baek via split decision. Lee climbed to 1-2. Baek fell to 0-5. I did a full review on this. You can feel free to check it out. Interesting little scrap there. Not the highest level, of course, but it was a fun little scrap. And it used an interesting rule set, three rounds, 3 minutes each. A smaller cage, limited ground game, although this fight never went to the ground. Just a fun little scrap there if you want to go check it out. That full fight is up on YouTube as well. And then this one I found thanks to Instagram last night. Chinese fighter Ming Shi defeated Miao Ding at WLF. That is Ming Shi's second win in the month of May. For WLF, that's Wu Lin Feng. So I don't really consider WLF to be so much a promotion as they are a TV production centered around fights. It's very hard to get results for them because of that. The results and everything are very heavily guarded. But Ximing also revealed that she is scheduled to fight again on June 19th. So she's a busy little bee in 2020. All right, so that is the fight results for this past week. Let's move straight into the news. Not a whole lot going on in the news. For UFC event scheduled for 13th of June, a flyweight bout between Jessica Ai and Cynthia Calvillo is set to headline. Should be an interesting flyweight bout there. Calvillo making her UFC flyweight debut. And then on the UFC event scheduled for 20th June, a strawweight bout between Tecia Torres and Brianna Van Buren is set. That should be a damn good strawweight fight there. Van Buren's on the come up. Tecia Torres having a bit rough time lately in that division, but she's only losing to really the very best in that division. So this is Van Buren's breakout fight in the UFC, or her chance to have a breakout fight. Of course, it's also Ticia's chance to turn things around for her. And then over in, I believe, Czech Republic, Octagon MMA Underground 3 is scheduled for this Saturday. A flyweight bout between UFC veteran Lucia Pudilova and Teresa Bleda. And then a strawweight bout between Invicta veteran Magdalena Sermova and Teresa Dvorakova. Sorry, my pronunciations aren't that great. And then finally, I believe this fight's being scheduled for the third time. Pancrase 316 has been rescheduled for July 24th. A flyweight bout between Emiko Raika, 25-8-1, and Takeo Hashi, 16-8-1. Both fighters are well into their 40s. Both are longtime veterans of MMA. Should make for an interesting fight there. So that was it for the news. No rankings updates at all this week. As for the Welcome to the Scene segment, welcome to Sask Morty. Welcome, welcome. Upcoming events this weekend. So for the UFC has an event. Let me bring this up here real quick. A fight night at the Apex. There is one ladies bout scheduled, I believe. Excuse me, 2 ladies bouts scheduled. First up, at flyweight, Katlyn Chookagian versus Antonina Shevchenko. Blonde fighter, Chookagian coming in 13-3. Shevchenko coming in 8-1. Chookagian is coming off a loss to Valentina Shevchenko a little over 3 months ago, preceded by 2 straight wins. Shevchenko is coming off a win over Lucia Pudilova 9 months ago, preceded by a split decision loss to Roxanne Modafferi. Shevchenko is the older fighter, 35, to Chookagian's 31. Chookagian is slightly taller, 5 feet 9 inches, 175 centimeters tall, to Pudilova's 5 feet 8 inches, 172 centimeters tall. However, Shevchenko has a 2-inch reach advantage, 68 inches, 173 centimeters, to Chookagian 66 inches, 168 centimeters. So I did do a full fight preview video for this one. Please feel free to check that out. I am going with Antonina Shevchenko in this matchup. And then opening up the main card, a strawweight bout between Mackenzie Dern and Hannah Shockwave Cyphers. Dern coming in 7-1, Cyphers coming in 10-4. Dern is coming off a loss to Amanda Heba 7 months ago. Before that, she was coming off a win over Amanda Cooper 2 years ago, had a long break because of pregnancy. For Cyphers, she is coming off the loss to Angela Hill 4 months ago. Before that, she was on a 2-fight win streak, first over Polyana Viana, and then over Jodie Escobel, both fights decisions. Fighters are the same age, 27 years old. Dern's going to be the taller fighter, 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters, to Cyphers, 5 feet 1 inches, 155 centimeters tall. However, the reach is a little more narrowed, 63 inches, 160 centimeters for Dern, 62 inches, 157 centimeters for Cyphers. So I expect Dern to definitely be the bigger fighter in here. She's had weight problems before. Anytime she steps on the scale, it's a question of will she make weight. I see Cyphers as the better fighter on the feet. Dern's striking is very basic, mostly relies on throwing heavy hands. However, if it gets to the ground, and I predict it will, Dern should be able to blow Cyphers away, and that's how I predict this fight goes. Mackenzie Dern by submission or decision. Cyphers just always seems to get matched up with people, or not always, but often gets matched up with fighters that the UFC wants to push. So we're going with Mackenzie Dern to win that one. And then Shudo is scheduled for Sunday, the 31st. The Super Atomweight Grand Prix semifinal bouts. Let's see if I can find those right here. I don't have those saved. I'll add the pictures up in editing. I've talked about these matchups a couple times in the past because they've been delayed twice. Anyway, I predict Mina Karobi and I believe it's Saori Oshima to win those. I believe those are the two I picked earlier. My apologies for not having that better prepared. That's at 110 pounds to crown the eventual Shudo Super Atomweight champion. First women's champion in Shudo's history. Anyway, those are the upcoming events for this weekend. Today I want to talk a little bit about this little picture I found on Twitter. It seems to come from MMA Planet or possibly Gonkakutogi, 2 different MMA magazines out of Japan. It features 3 Japanese fighters and 1 American fighter in Roxanne Modafferi, although Roxanne spent a number of years over in Japan, living there and training, teaching, fighting there. So she speaks Japanese very well and still keeps up with the Japanese MMA media. Anyway, this lists 4 different fighters and how they envision their paths to championship glory going. 1 fighter in 1 championship in Itsuki Hirata. Kanako Murata is currently the Invicta champ and would like to go to the UFC. Then you got Roxanne Modafferi, who's a UFC flyweight. And then Kana Watanabe, who's currently fights for Ryzen and Deep Jewels, but is looking to move into Bellator because they have the actual established flyweight division. So starting with Itsuki Hirata. She has 3 targets listed. The first target, Now, Hirata is either 3-0 or 6-0, depending on which fight record keeper you look at. Some of her fights are being counted by one, and then another would have list them as amateur fights. So she's either 3-0 or 6-0. Anyway, her first target appears to be Ritu Phogat. Ritu Phogat is 2-0 out of India. She is a very famous Indian wrestler, comes from a whole family of wrestlers. All of her sisters wrestle. Her dad trained them all. She's currently 2-0. I think that's a smart choice to make. Ritu Phogat is one championship's, like, someone they really want to push to break into the Indian market. So if she can beat Phogat, then that should possibly get her a boost as well. Then she has Gina Iniong as target number 2. Gina Iniong is currently ranked 9-4. She's from the Philippines, and she is ranked number 5 in the One Championship rankings in their, atom weight 115-pound division. So you go from an unranked fighter, but who is getting a push, to a ranked fighter. I think that's very smart there. You beat the number 5, you get into the rankings, and you can make even more of a name for yourself. And then she has listed as her goal the current One Championship champion, Angela Lee. Of course, Lee is 10-2. She's from Hawaii, and she is, of course, the current champion. I think out of all 4 listed here, this one makes the most sense and is the most attainable. I think Hirata did a good job in laying out a possible championship career path for herself there. Then you move to Kaneko Murata. She fights in the strawweight division. She's the current Invicta strawweight champion and hopes to move into the UFC to further challenge herself. Her first target, she lists Felice Herrig. Herrig is 14-8. She's from the United States. She's currently ranked number 14 in the UFC. This one, as a standalone, doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, Herrig hasn't fought in quite a while. She's not making any waves lately. But when you add in who Murata has as target number 2, it makes a little more sense. Target number 2 is Carla Esparza. She is 16-6, is from the US. She's currently ranked number 7. Now, that's a big boost in rankings. But Murata understands the promotional game because Herrig and Esparza are like BFFs. They're very good friends. They fought each other once in the past, and ever since then have been very close, almost inseparable. So they're very good friends. So even though run number 14 to number 7 seems like a big jump, gotta understand the promotional aspect of this sport. Storylines help sell fights. So that one, when you combine those two together, make a lot of sense. And then finally, she has as her goal the current UFC champ, Weili Zhang. Zhang is 21-1 from China, and of course, she's the champ. So you got target 1, Herrig, target 2, Esparza. Makes sense from a promotional standpoint. And then, of course, the ultimate goal is to be the champ. So then you got Zhang. Nice matchmaking there by Kaneko Murata. Then you move on to Roxanne Modafferi. Modafferi has 2 targets listed. First target is Jessica Ai. Jessica Ai is 15-7. She's currently ranked number 1 in the UFC. So, makes sense. Go for the number 1 fighter. Roxanne is listed in the top 10 as well, so make the number 1 fighter your goal. And then, of course, the ultimate goal is the current champ, Valentina Shevchenko. Shevchenko is 19-3 from Kyrgyzstan, although I think she fights out of... I think she currently resides in Peru, although she's been spending a lot of time in the U.S. more lately. Of course, she is the current UFC champion. So my only problem with this one is that Modafferi currently has a fight booked against Lauren Taylor. Why not just call out Shevchenko right after you beat Lauren Taylor, if she beats Lauren Taylor? Just go for the call out right there. I mean, I think she's slow to call out the champ. I don't know why. I don't think she's scared like a lot of people insinuate. I don't know why she's being slow to call out the champ. But I think she definitely should. No need to beat Jessica I. Just go straight for the champion at that point. And then finally, we come to Kana Watanabe. Watanabe is a flyweight fighter. She currently fights for Verizon and Deep Jewels. She did get a win over in Bellator, Japan. She beat Alara Joanny. She lists 2 targets and a goal. Her first target appears to be Denise Miss Dynamite Kielholtz. Kielholtz is 5-2, fighting out of the Netherlands, primarily a kickboxer, but also an accomplished judoka. That would make for an interesting matchup because of the judo aspect. Then as target number 2, she lists Valerie Letourneau. Letourneau is 10-7 from Canada. She's a former title challenger. This one doesn't make as much sense because Letourneau hasn't fought in about a year and a half. Ever since she lost to Ilima McFarland. Don't even know what's going on with Letourneau as far as her fight career goes. And then, of course, as her goal, she lists Ilima McFarland, who is the current Bellator champ. She is 11-0, undefeated, and from Hawaii in the United States. So, obviously, that's the goal. You want to be the champion. Not bad choices there. Letourneau is a bit of a head scratcher. I would have replaced Letourneau with someone like Alejandra Lara or Juliana Velasquez, who, in my opinion, should be the next challenger for the title anyway. So I think just change out Letourneau and Watanabe's list makes a lot more sense. So just a neat little thing I found on Twitter. 4 fighters listing out how possible career paths to the title. I thought it was a neat thing I wanted to share a little bit with. Anyway, that's really the show for this weekend, or this week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, likes are always appreciated, and hey, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.